Hello, Counter here from Lumpology.com, and welcome back. This is going to be this first video on the new Lumpology Academy YouTube channel, so go check that out. Anyways, I thought I would come back to an older topic on this channel, multiplayer. And so, a while back, I posted a video that was on how to make a multiplayer game in the Blender game engine. Well, time has moved on since that video, and I was looking into a few new things, and I realized there might be a slightly easier way to go about it. So I'm going to put this video out of commission. Oh, look. Like, public, unlisted. There. Okay, that video is out of commission now. And so, basically, I found this add-on. I didn't know this was here before. It's by Angus Hollins, or Agoose77. And I'll provide a link to his channel in the description below. But he made this wonderful add-on called the Multiplayer add-on. And it works quite well, actually, if you have any knowledge in port forwarding. But he actually released two versions of it. But I'm going to be releasing his original version of it because I think it's slightly more straightforward on the install because it's just like an add-on. Now, it's complicated no matter what you do, but I will get into it. So, if we go to a folder area, you're going to need to download an old version of Blender. So if you go to blender.org, and as you can see, that was released today, or some time recently. You're going to want to go to download, and you want to go to previous versions. The current versions of Blender do not run this, so we're going to need to go to the releases, and as you can see, we have all of the Blender releases here. You're going to need to go back quite a ways to this old version, Blender 2.72. So I click that. I'm running Windows, so I'm going to want to get the Windows 2.72b.zip. You're not going to want the exe because we don't want to install it. Get the zip. So once you've downloaded that to your computer and extracted it, you're going to want to they'll have this file here. You're going to want to go into it and well, actually, you're going to want to go to the description below, get the multiplayer add-on. I'll provide a direct download link to that. And you're going to want to put it inside of this little, inside of the add-ons folder of your Blender 2.72. So, as you can see, we have the multiplayer add-on in here. And then you're going to want to do is not start up Blender, but go back to the version that you have here, Blender 2.72, and start its own individual exe. Okay. I have a few more add-ons installed on it, but yeah, we'll just get into it. So it'll start up, and so what we're going to want to do immediately is go to the user preferences. Set up your user preferences like you have in your normal engine. Obviously, I don't want to set up my pie menus right now, though I do usually use those. And you're just going to go to the multiplayer add-on in the game engine tab here and check it. If it doesn't show up here, that means you've done something wrong. But remember, you have to be using Blender 2.72b. It's the last stable copy that I've noticed can actually really well run this. It's actually probably my favorite copy of Blender as well. But yeah, so now we're going to go to the Blender game engine. So don't worry, we're not leaving BGE. I'm going to go to the Game Logic tab, and as you can see over in the Properties panel where we have the properties, we have a new one called Multiplayer. So let's make our multiplayer game. I'm going to delete everything in my scene because I don't like the default scene. I'm going to go back to user perspective mode and add a simple plane. Along this tutorial series, I hope to show you add a scoreboarding series that will make it so when you pick up an item to any other players who are online your server, that item will vanish because it's already taken. So, not using this multiplayer add-on, but using a special scoreboard system I learned from Red Frost just recently, we're going to make this to work really well, and it's going to be really cool. So, part 1 is on the Lumpology Studio YouTube channel. I'll be re-uploading it to the Lumpology Academy YouTube channel. All parts coming after this will be in the Lumpology Academy YouTube channel. So part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4, and however many parts I have after this will be on the Lumpology Academy YouTube channel. Link to that in the description below, and I may even put an annotation on the screen now. Anyways, let's get into it. So first things first, we're going to want something to control our multiplayer. So what I usually do is I simply add empty. I like to use the arrows because they show these axes, and I think it's really cool looking. So on this, we're just going to want to hit Instalize Multiplayer. So as you can see, once we've done that, we have two options. Also in this scripts editor, we can see it's loaded a bunch of scripts up. We won't worry about those. As you can see here, we have add game proper. Forget that actually. We have this host and play game and these options down here. Look. But what we're going to want to do is, this is going to be our, let's say this is our game. So we're going to want to click play game, and that'll set it up. As you can see, I've got localhost, I've got a port, and I've got a frequency and a name. So I'm just going to call this, give it a name. So let's give it a name of, game. So the name is actually quite important because it tells it what it needs to hook up to, what it's searching for. So the port, the default port works, but just because if you don't want confusion with other people who use the same add-on, because the add-on's fairly popular out there, I would just find a different port. Anything on just keep it between 1,000 and 10,000, and you should be fine. So if I just add a 1 there, then it should be fine. The frequency I usually take down to 10, but if you want really high response speed and internet killer, then you bring it down to 1. Server address, I'm going to keep on localhost for now. We may add an IP in there later on if we want to run the game on anything other than our local network. So, and as you can see, it's added in the, when we hit play game, it added in these logic bricks here, and so we got and it's set up to go to the wrapper pi here that runs the entire game. So just don't touch these. If you want, you can minimize them like this, and that's all good. So as you can see, we now have multiplayer here. So I'm just going to add a simple, let's see, our player will be a cube. Scale 0.5. Cubes take up a lot of data, and so they're really handy for things like this. I'm going to add a material to our cube, and this material is going to be player. I'm just going to make our player green. Okay, so if I go to the world panel, I'm just going to give us a little more better looking world color. Let's just go with that. I'm actually on our bottom plane as well, going to add a new, and I'll just make it bluish, dark blue like this. See if the game runs. There we go. On our player, I'm going to, of course, change this physics type to player. Press Shift S, and I'm going to do Shift S, cursor to selected. Shift A, and I'm going to add a camera. And then I'm going to press Alt R to reset the rotation, and I'm going to drag the camera up. I'm going to drag it back, RX 90, or actually I'm just going to do RX and bring it up to about here. Shift to select the cube, and I'm going to press Control P and parent it to the object. Now with both of them selected, I'm just going to go to the object panel. Just let's see, here I'm going to enable slow parent on you. There we go. And the offset is just going to be something quite simple like that. So if I drag the cube up and press P to play. Oh, what am I doing? That's not technically going to work. So actually, let's give this as a chance to Shift F. Move. Oh, okay. editing software has cut off, so I think I didn't do anything. I just moved my camera back. I'm just saying that if you missed it, I don't know, but yeah, I just jacked the camera back. Let's increase our slow parenting to something pretty major like that. And let's play the game. Yeah, see, there we go. That looks good. I'm going to select our cube now, and I'm going to add 4 keyboard sensors. It usually helps if we label them, so I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to press W. It's going to be down. S key, I'm going to make them positive. Left. And right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add an AND controller to pair up with each of those. And this common mistake I've seen people doing a lot with game is when they add their motions in. So if I press this and tap T, I'll add 4 of them in. But what they do is they set this to character motion. I made this mistake at 2 first, but character motion prevents diagonal motion. So if you just set it to simple motion, I find it looks so much better, and it works. So if I just leave it at that, here, I'll show you what I mean. This is going to be X. Wait, left. That's minus Y. This is positive Y. Okay, there we go. I find in Blender 2.72 it takes a little while for the game to run. But as you can see, yeah, I have diagonal controls now. Whoa, something's wrong. Let's take a look. Oh. You are angling forward somehow. Wait, no. That was correct. Means this is somehow Y, right, yes, Y. X. Y. No. X minus positive. So down is this. Okay, I'm really messing up here. There we go. That should fix it. Back, forward, left, wrist. If you use character motion, it prevents you from doing if I press like S and D at the same time, I go diagonally. If I use character motion, it makes it so it only does the first one pushed. So I would only go one direction at a time. I couldn't go diagonal. But if I leave it at simple motion, it lets me go diagonally. And so, yeah. In the render tab, I'm actually just going to enable GLSL. And Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, and I'm just going to add a lamp spot. Shift select this, Control P, parent to object. GLSL just makes it look so much better. Oh, gotta switch it to this mode. This should make it look a bit cool. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we have just something very simple going on right here. And now what we need to do is have the ability for player 2 to spawn in. So if I just scale up our map just a bit bigger, and then I'm going to go to the next layer. Press Shift S, and put the cursor to the center. Press how am I doing for time? Good. Shift A, and I'm going to add another cube. S 0.5, so it's the same size. And this one is going to just, I'm going to add a new material, and it's going to be player other. And player other is going to be red. Player other will also have a property on it called other. And it will be a boolean, and it will be a positive boolean. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to add another thing. Shift S, cursor to selected. Shift A, a plane. This plane's going to go on top. Scale it down. Think of this plane as a pressure plate. This pressure plate is going to be a no collision. It's going to be a sensor. What am I doing? It's static, but it's invisible. And it's just going to have a simple, I'll just call it plate. It's going to have a simple piece of logic on it that says collision property other, and then game, quick game. So now other here is, this is how it's going to work. Okay. Other here is, we're just going to give other a name. So other's name is going to be other. Just like that. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to add a little thing to our current player. We're calling cube. Well, I'll rename it there. Make that not a capital L. Player. And I'm just going to, on player, put, see this position thing? Down here, I'm just going to enable position. I'm just going to add it. So we got position, and then I'm going to do orientation, and I'm going to add that as well. So now what we're going to do is, I'm going to say, this is going to send. I'm going to select position. I'm going to send the object entity to other. We'll leave all the settings as they are, and then I'm going to select orientation, and I'm going to decheck Y and X because we don't need those. We only need the Z orientation in a game like this. And we're going to send it to other. And actually, I'm just going to, on the left key, 1 second, let's test something. What rotation? That rotation. So positive is left. So on the left, I'm just going to positive Z. And on this one, I'm just going to put negative Z rotation. What's wrong with the camera? Huh. I'm going to press Shift S and I'm going to say selection to cursor. It's kind of a little strange. What's the camera doing? This is really strange. I don't know what's going on with our camera, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete the camera because that shouldn't be happening. And it appears I'm going to have to resume this. 1 second. Okay, so we're back. On the cube, I'm just going to press Shift A and I'm going to add a camera. Control Alt R to clear the rotation. I'm just going to move the camera back. Don't know why this happened. Maybe you can comment down below if you have any ideas. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go with the rotation. Shift select our cube, Control P, parent to object, and I'm going to re-enable slow parent. Something like 7. Actually, 6 was probably a better number to work on. Okay, that was weird. No matter. Let's just continue with this. Select cube. And okay, so we've added in a position and an orientation. Now that we've done that, and they're sending the object entity to other, which just happens to be the cube that we put in this other tab here. So that concludes this episode, or this course. In the next one, we're going to set up the host using this add-on. So remember to do File, Save, and we're just going to save it to a location. I'm just going to add a folder, and I'm going to call it MMO. Okay, let's go. Next tutorial, we'll set up the host. I'm Contrariety, and I will see you later. Goodbye.